Hunan province is one of the most historically rich, but often overlooked parts of China. It's a region that once stood on the margins of early Chinese civilization, but gradually became central to its unfolding. On this trip, our aim is to learn more about its ancient history, so we are going to 3 sites where the past still lingers in the soil. We will seek out rare bamboo slips from the time of the Qin Dynasty that contain crucial information about the time when this land was made part of the empire. We will go to the top of a sacred mountain to see its famous door to heaven, and then the ruins of a Bronze Age city, rare for this part of China, where exquisite vessels offer a glimpse into a civilization nearly 3,000 years old. Let's hit the road. We're on our way to Liye ancient town, nestled in Longshan County, far in the western part of Hunan province. The roads here wind through forested hills and valleys, and life seems to flow more slowly here. You'll pass farmers carrying bundles of greens, roadside vendors selling smoked tofu, and school children walking home along stone paths. But what's really fascinating is what lies beneath this tranquil surface. This region was once part of the southern frontier during the western Zhou dynasty. At the time, much of what is now Hunan was inhabited by tribal societies, with their own cultural systems. Among them were groups that later came to be known, collectively, as the Baiyue, a term the Chinese used to refer to the many non-Zhou peoples living across southern China. The Baiyue weren't a single ethnic group, but a mosaic of communities, with distinct languages and customs. They practiced wet rice agriculture, tattooed their bodies, and produced bronze drums unlike anything seen in the north. Some lived in raised wooden houses, and many navigated their dense forested environments by boat. Later, during the spring and autumn period, the state of Chu began expanding into this region. Chu gradually absorbed many of the local cultures, including some of the Baiyue groups, blending their traditions with Zhou influences to create a unique southern identity. Other Baiyue peoples maintained their independence for centuries, resisting or adapting to imperial expansion in their own ways. By the time of the Warring States period, this area had become a key part of Chu's domain. But all that changed when the Qin Dynasty defeated Chu and unified China in 221 BCE. The Qin built a new administrative system that reached all the way out here, to places like Liye, and we've just arrived. When we got to Liye, we were excited to visit the archaeological site itself. But, as sometimes happens when traveling, it was closed for ongoing research. Well, the archaeological site is closed for renovation. I wonder if I can see anything in there. So instead, we spent most of our time at the Liye Qin Slips Museum, which turned out to be the highlight. This museum sits near the original location of the ancient city, once the seat of Qianling County under the Qin Dynasty. In 2002, construction workers digging at a well here discovered over 36,000 bamboo and wooden slips. The documents date from between around 222 and 208 BCE. Oh, look at there's Qin Shi Huang.
We are at Liye Museum. It's free to get in. And we will see writing from Qin Dynasty. Okay, Qin Shi Huang.
The archaeological site of Liye is very interesting. This was a military fortress. It was originally built in the Warring States period by the Chu state. This was once territory of the Chu state, but then later it got taken over by the Qin Dynasty, and they rebuilt it, but it continued to be a military fortress. The name Liye is a more recent name. It's from the local Tujia dialect. It means farmland. But back in the day, this was an important center. But it only lasted until about the Western Han Dynasty, which is just a little bit longer, maybe a century or two. So it was not occupied a long time. But the greatest find from this site is not the weaponry or the pottery or things like that, or the remnants of the fort, but bamboo slips, 37,000 of them with writing on them. And we're going to go take a look. Yeah, this is along the banks of the Yao River. People lived in wooden piked two-story houses with one main room and two chambers. And archaeological findings indicate that the people here had a pretty diverse diet. It's all local produce, but the area was very bountiful. There's a soup ladle, a couple of spoons, wooden spoons. I recognize the bee we talked about in an earlier episode. Oh, here we go, bamboo slips. Look at that, huh? These bamboo slips are over 2,000 years old, about 2,200 years old. What's interesting about these particular bamboo slips is that they're a household registration, a census basically, and they're saying here that a nuclear family basically consists of two generations, the parents and the unmarried children. So very much like we would consider a nuclear family today. And that was considered a single household back in those times. The families here did consist of a husband with more than one wife. And that was considered also part of the nuclear family. Before this discovery, we knew surprisingly little about how Qin governance worked at the local level. These slips changed that. They revealed a world of bureaucracy, commands issued from the central government, local disputes settled in courts, marriage contracts, census tallies, many written with astonishing precision, including timestamps down to 2-hour intervals. The issue here, for if you're an English speaker, is that the contents of the bamboo slips are all stated in Chinese, and there are no English descriptions whatsoever, so I have to rely on Tina. Guess what these are? These are performance appraisals for the staff here at the fortress during the Qin Dynasty. Just like modern ones, there were duties that they had to fulfill, and they actually kept track of how well they did them, if they performed them well. All of that, these are recorded on these particular bamboo slips about particular officers and what their performance was like over the performance period. And so we actually have these from the Qin Dynasty. So we learn not only that they had them, but also what the duties and responsibilities of these officers were. I think as a historian, what we look forward to the most is when archaeologists dig up documents like this, you know. This is what we want. Gives us fresh, new information to study. I mean, I realize there's still tons of cuneiform tablets, for example, that have not yet been read, but when new ones are found, it's always great. So much to study. And these are implements for the writing and preparing the bamboo slips. So we're looking at the brushes that they use. So the pen holder is made out of a bamboo tube, and the pen tip was wrapped with rabbit hair around the bamboo pole. When you see these letters here, do you understand the writing?
Yeah, most I can understand, but there's something I don't understand.
Okay. And some of the stories feel surprisingly modern. One slip records a father distributing property to his daughter ahead of her marriage, including goods and money and people, equivalent to 20 years' salary. Another details how women could inherit property and manage households. The Qin system was rigid, even harsh, but also methodical and inclusive in unexpected ways. Wow, there is room after room of these slips on display here. It would have been nice to see the archaeological site, but I expect there's not a whole lot there. All the good stuff is put in the museums. Customs clearance document called Fu. It's called Fu, which indicates the name, sex, age, skin color, identity and relationship of the holder. And they verify their identity at the time of customs clearance. The holder of this one, 9757, he's 170 centimeters in height, and he's got black skin. That's 9757.
31 years old.
31 years old. This is really cool. This is a multiplication table. Yeah, it's called the 999 table because it starts at 9981, but that must have been used for accounting purposes. But it's the oldest extant multiplication table that's been found in China. This one here, number 8154, this is recording buyers and sellers of handmaidens. We actually have documents here that talk about the buying and selling of people. Yes, slavery. During the Qin Dynasty, this is during the reign of Qin Shi Huang himself, talking about women and men being sold as slaves, and this is recording the buyers and sellers and the amounts, I expect. The museum does a phenomenal job bringing these texts to life, showing how each one adds a piece to the puzzle of Qin administration and everyday life. These ones are really interesting. This is about some men that were sent here from Yangling. They had broken the law, and because they had no money to pay the fines, they were sent here to work them off. And one man is mentioned here named Xiao, and he owed like over 11,000 yuan. And he was sent here. He had to work 3 years and 11 months to pay off the fine. Shows kind of how harsh many of the penalties were during the Qin period. So these ones are about military supplies. Which is interesting. You can get all kinds of info about what they had as far as military supplies are concerned. We're looking here at the earliest known shipping label, express mail delivery, official documents being sent here, and this is the label that went with it. So already here in the Qin period, we've got a postal service in operation. So it gives the number and name of the item, and then it's tied to the item. So similar to like labels for products today. Money, food, clothing, mostly used for those. Oh, there are mileage slips. Basically, they count the workload of postal workers. Like they evaluate how fast documents can get from one place to another, how efficient the systems are. So these mileage slips are basically the earliest mileage checklist of postal systems that we have seen. Now I imagine there are many bamboo slips not in this museum. There certainly wasn't 37,000 in this museum. So there are many that are being studied. There are many that have gone to other museums, but it's just a treasure trove of information. Historians who study the Qin Dynasty can spend their entire career just studying these bamboo slips. After the discovery in 2002, this town was built up as tourists from all over China flocked here. But now, more than 2 decades later, it seemed almost like a ghost town. Many businesses had long closed up. Its glory days are no more. Our hotel, in a beautiful old wooden building, didn't have many people in it, but we could imagine a time when it was full of vacationers. In China, by the way, when you see a place called an ancient town, and there are quite a number of them, it mostly just means they are old and have some history. It doesn't necessarily mean ancient, but Liye really was an ancient town long ago. As we walk through the quiet streets of modern Liye, with its 2-story wooden houses and sleepy alleys, it was easy to imagine the bustling market town it once was. Not 20 years ago, but 2,000 years ago. Filled with merchants, officials, soldiers, and scribes. But we learned that what's buried here isn't just an ancient city. It's an entire lost bureaucracy that we get a taste of. Back on the road, we're heading eastward. The terrain grows steeper, greener, more dramatic. Here you can really see how landscape shaped culture.
sheep.
The goats. The goats. Goats.
Okay, so sheep and goats are different.
Yeah. Sheep don't have big horns.
In ancient times, this region was hard to reach, isolated by mountains and rivers. But that isolation also allowed unique ideas to flourish. The people of Chu, and later the diverse local cultures under Qin and Han rule, developed a rich spiritual world, filled with spirits, immortals, and deities tied to nature. Many of these beliefs became rooted in the mountains. And no mountain in this region is more awe-inspiring, or more steeped in spiritual significance than our next destination, Tianmen Mountain.
We stopped for some lunch in Zhangjiajie, where the mountain is located. There are many shops and the prices are higher than normal.
This is a place where many tourists come, and there was a crowd. It was one of the few sites on this entire trip where I saw several Westerners. The experience begins with a ride on one of the longest cableways in the world, spanning over 4.6 miles, 7 kilometers, from the city all the way to the mountaintop. It lifts you from downtown Zhangjiajie into the clouds.
So there's 2 cable cars going up, a fast one and a slow one. We're taking the slow one up, and we're going from the very bottom up to the top, and it takes 28 minutes to get up there. So we're going to just sit here and enjoy the scenery as we climb up.
As you rise, the noise of the city fades, and it becomes eerily quiet, except for the noise of the cable car and wind. When we first caught sight of Tianmen Mountain, it was like something out of a dream. Rising nearly 5,000 feet into the mist, it's crowned by a massive natural arch known as Tianmen Cave, which we'll get a better look at in a moment. Oh, are we going to stop here? No, we keep going.
Yeah. This is unbelievable.
Another station. This must be the top, right? Nope. Onwards and upwards we go.
Can't see a thing. We are now at the tippy top. Pretty much.
在前面等一下，我去买票啊。
The cliff-hanging walkways stretch along the mountain's edge, sometimes carved directly into the rock.
This is unbelievable. Okay, this is the glass bottom walkway. Some people are not worried about this at all, but I am a little bit nervous.
The glass skywalks are not for the faint of heart. You're literally walking on transparent panels over a 4,500-foot drop, 1,400 meters. But the views, rolling mist, forested peaks, the twisting road below, are worth every shaky step.
I wish the view was a little clearer.
On one hand, I was a little disappointed it was so foggy that day, but on the other, the fog made the experience seem more magical, like we were in some other world.
Tina can't believe that I'm not afraid of ghosts. She's afraid of ghosts up here. And she's not afraid of heights at all, but she's afraid of ghosts. She can't believe that I'm not afraid of ghosts and I am afraid of heights. Okay, all right. It's just all fog right now, but that goes way down. Interesting legend about how the mountain got its name. This goes back to the year 263 CE. This is in the Three Kingdoms period after the fall of the Han Dynasty. And this area here was under the jurisdiction of the Wu Kingdom. And the king at the time was Sun Shu. And the story goes that this mountain was called Songliang Mountain, but the cave opened up at that point in that year, and it was considered very auspicious. So he renamed the mountain Tianmen, which means a hole in the sky.
You do something there, you feel okay. Here you.
So what do you think?
I think beautiful, amazing. You see?
Oh, now we're going to go down into the cave itself. Okay, this looks like the entrance to the Trans Mountain escalator. We take an escalator down. Not an elevator, not a cableway, but an escalator, and it's long. Sorry. Number 5. Getting ready for number 6. Escalator number 7. Going down. From what I can see down there, this could be the last one. Just to give you an idea of like how close we are to the edge.
It's hard to tell, but right now we are inside Tianmen Cave itself, the hole in the sky. According to the legends, this cave connects heaven and earth. There is an elevator, but if you're up for it, why not take the 999 steep stone steps, known as the Stairway to Heaven? Better going down than going up.
We were hoping that the light would poke through, and it's starting to do that. You can start to make out the cave. Do you see it there? The big hole in the sky. That is what broke in 263, opened up, and of course, it inspired Sun Tzu to rename the mountain Tianmen, the hole in the sky. And there's the hole right there.
In 1999, stunt pilots blew through the hole in celebration.
3 hours, good. The clouds are being blown away, revealing Tianmen Cave. You can see now how it inspired people, how they thought this is a sign, and it's a good sign. Look at that.
We made our way back to the cable car.
Oh, you can see where the buses came. See where the buses came? The roads are now closed. Amazing, huh? We're going down there. We got left off at a station here. I'm not sure how to get back to our car, but we'll figure it out.
We were surprised to see that they let us off in an entirely different spot. It looks like an area that they are still building up. Not much going on here just yet. Fortunately, there was a bus that took us back to the parking lot. As we leave Zhangjiajie and drive southeast, the mountains begin to flatten out into valleys and fertile plains. We're heading toward Tanheli, one of the most important Bronze Age sites in southern China. It's located in Ningxiang County. Between the fall of the Zhou and the rise of the Han, this region was a crucible of change. The powerful state of Chu had left behind cities, ritual sites, and artistic traditions. And even after Qin absorbed Chu, the culture here retained its distinct character, seen in everything from burial customs to bronze design. That southern innovation is exactly what we'll find at Tanheli. Visiting here for the first time, you may get confused. There is Tanhe Ancient City and Tanheli Archaeological Site. They sit facing each other. Tanhe Ancient City is an amusement park. Tanheli Museum and Archaeological Site is over there.
They really try to build interest in ancient history by putting these amusement areas, or what would you call it, parks, entertainment facilities near the archaeological sites. Tanheli National Archaeological Park, Site Park.
The whole area is part of a larger effort at cultural preservation and rural revitalization. Thousands of local villagers now work in tourism, education, and conservation. History is alive here, in the land, in the people, and in the stories they continue to tell. I want to take you to the archaeological site first, so we're going straight through the back door. We'll come back to the museum afterwards to look at all the great finds from the site.
We're about to go in to the Tanheli site. Now, what makes Tanheli so interesting is that this is a settlement from the Western Zhou period. and this is like 11th century BCE to 8th century BCE, and it's very rare to find a settlement from the Western Zhou period in southern China, which is where we are, okay? So the fact that they found one, it makes it an important and significant site. Inside, they found evidence here of a city wall, a moat around it. They found some tombs of nobles, all kinds of bronzes, which we're going to look at in the museum. And so let's go in and check out the archaeological site.
The Tanheli site sits on what once was the Baiyue River, a tributary of the Xiang. Today, it's a national archaeological park, beautifully maintained and surrounded by farmland and low hills.
Tanheli rose to prominence during the Western Zhou Dynasty, around 3,000 years ago. Archaeologists have uncovered the remains of a walled city, palatial buildings, moats, and noble tombs. This was not a backwater. It was a regional center, one producing bronze vessels of exquisite artistry. The front section of the park is chiefly designed for school kids. It's where they can learn about archaeology and about Tanheli. It confused us at first because we thought it was the site itself. I mean, it may sit on part of the site. Probably does. But much of what you see here are reconstructions and exhibits. I'm not even sure the excavation pits are the real ones. They might be. But the reconstructions give you some idea of what things were like.
This is labeled as an ancient post road. Now, it has been refurbished here for people to walk on, but they're saying this is where the postal couriers would go. All right, so what we're looking at here is a reconstruction of the gate, the city gate, going into the palace area. And so what we've been seeing are representations of the cores of the wall. So basically, this is the core of the wall, and then over top of the core, they put the stones that you see here to create gate. Now, I'm not sure if the lettering was originally on these walls or not, okay? Yeah, the letters here, they took this off of one of a mask that was found, so they thought they'd put it on the wall here. Probably wasn't on the original wall, but because of that, we call this the Dahe Gate. They seem to have liked to frame the palaces by the mountain in the background. This is a reconstructed platform, but this is where sacrificial rites were performed for the general population. Partly repaired there. Here's a terraced field for farming, and I think it's real. Okay, let's go across.
Across the stream, you'll leave the educational area and arrive at the site proper.
Tanheli is the only site from the Shang-Zhou period found in Hunan province. So here we are in the center of the site. This is where the palace complex was, and the remains of two palaces were found right here, the two big ones. This is the biggest one right here. You can see where all the posts were. Now this is modern wood, but it's showing you where the post holes were for the building. There's another one over here a little bit smaller. 4 other palaces were found too, but they've remained unexcavated. But this is where the ruler of the site, the governor, he would have served under the Zhou emperor, would have probably resided. And you can see all of this as part of the archaeological site, or the center of the archaeological site. We saw some of the material on the outskirts over there. Here we have the remains of 2 long trenches. You can see one over there and one over here, inside the city wall. All along there was the city wall. You can see remnants of it way back there, the city wall going around. And then these 2 trenches were built as well for defense, one a little bit earlier, one a little bit later. And this would have, of course, helped to protect the city from invaders. So here you can get an idea of the depth of the trench and the wall, the bottom of the wall. The wall was much higher. under that mound is actually the remains of the real wall. This is a modern reconstruction to show you where the wall was. What's interesting is that before they found this site, these bronzes from the Western Zhou period were turning up. People were finding them in fields and things like that. They ended up in museums too. And there was always people wondering, like, where did they come from? They didn't know where they came from because this is in southern China. There was no known Western Zhou period site. But when they finally found this site in the early 2000s, it became apparent that the bronzes came from here. So now we know the origin of many of these previously unprovenance bronzes. They came from Tanheli.
Okay, let's go back to the museum.
But this is a reconstruction of one of the public buildings from Tanheli. Representative pottery. Oh, these are quite nice. Look at that. We have models of craftsmen looking at their trade, making bronze. You can see them working on a bronze ritual vessel and then taking it away where they need to go. Apparently in this display case, this is the only authentic copy. The others are replicas. Glad I have Tina around here to tell me what the Chinese says. This one with the face is one of the signature items here, but it's a replica as well, so it must be at another museum. I wonder what museum it's at. That's what happens sometimes when you have a small site, a small museum on the actual site, and you know that a lot of people don't come here. You're going to take the good stuff and you're going to bring it to the big museum. This one's real. This is a libation vessel. The Shang period authentic bronze ritual vessel.
The most famous of the Tanheli artifacts is the 4-goat square zun, a ritual wine vessel sculpted with 4 rams and covered in high-relief animal motifs. It's one of the most celebrated bronzes ever found in China, combining northern Shang-style casting with local artistic traditions.
This one looks like it's from the Shang period.
Another treasure is the Da He Ding, a massive ceremonial cauldron. Together with hundreds of other artifacts, bronze axes, jade ornaments, pottery, these items reveal a flourishing culture. But the true significance of Tanheli is what it tells us about the spread of early Chinese civilization. For centuries, historians believed that the South was simply a periphery. Tanheli proves otherwise. This was a culture with its own sophistication, innovation, and regional power.
Here's some recreation of a ceremony, a ritual, using some of these bronze vessels. Animal bones. I think there's a bit of artistic license here, but it was probably done something like this. Look at this huge bell. This is real. This is the authentic original here, found here. Imagine the sound it would make. Here's a film of a bell ceremony.
Our journey through western and central Hunan has taken us across mountains, rivers, and millennia. This region, once seen as the periphery, turns out to have been central to the making of Chinese civilization. This land has witnessed it all, and preserved it in stone, bamboo, bronze, and memory. this is our final episode of the series, but our next series will be coming out soon. If you haven't yet had a chance to see the other amazing places we explored in China, check out our previous episodes. Thanks for traveling with Tina and me on Antiquities Explorer. We'll see you next time, somewhere else in the ancient world.